Digital collage is such a powerful way to create really detailed, interesting artwork, especially if you don't want to rely purely on drawing or illustration skills. You can pull together textures, photography, organic elements, and turn them into something completely new. It has its own visual language and style, so you can take it in so many different directions. Today, I want to give you my top 10 easy collage tips for working in Procreate. Collage is also brilliant if you're in a bit of a creative rut. Working with existing elements often sparks ideas you wouldn't have come up with on a blank canvas. It's a great way to really stretch your Procreate skills beyond just drawing. If we haven't met before, hi, my name's Nicole from iPad Calligraphy. I teach lettering and design on the iPad in apps like Procreate and Affinity. In this video, I'm going to be building this beautiful fantasy style butterfly. As I work, I'll walk you through 10 practical tips that help you work faster, avoid common mistakes, and honestly will save you hours of frustration. For my first attempt at this piece, I probably wasted a good 5 or 6 hours heading down a dead end. So these really are the things that I wish I'd thought about right at the start. I'll also share my favorite places to find image resources, including ones that you can use both personally and professionally. I've put everything into a free, handy, downloadable cheat sheet. It includes links to the exact images I've used in this artwork, plus my go-to image resource sites, so you can grab that PDF using the link in the description below. And just so you know, the final tip is probably the biggest time saver, so make sure you stick around for that. Alright, so let's dive in. Before I start, I just want to quickly show you the finished piece so you can see where this is heading. The butterfly is made of a mix of photography, textures, and decorative elements, all pulled together in Procreate. So the images came from a few different places. Everything is linked in that PDF below. Alright, so let's rewind and I'll walk you through how I approach this right from the start. So tip number 1 would be collect all your assets and resources before you start. So the very first thing I recommend is gathering all of your image resources before you even open the canvas. One of the fastest ways to kill your creative flow is constantly stopping to hunt for new images mid-project. It just pulls you out of that design headspace completely. So you could think of it like a digital treasure hunt. I actually think of this as part of the design process. Limiting your resources is a form of creative constraint, and that's something designers use all the time intentionally. So when you work with a smaller curated set of images, everything tends to feel a little more cohesive. So for this butterfly, I pulled images from a few different places, but I was lucky enough to find a single, very detailed image, and that handled most of the wing structure. So while there's many places you can go, my top recommendation for free high quality images is Unsplash. I also used Pexels and Century Library for this project as well. It's a good idea to organize as you go, so when you download an image on your iPad, it would usually go straight into your downloads folder, and then from there I like to create a main project folder in my Files app, so whether that's in iCloud or Dropbox, and then I move all my downloaded resources into that folder. That way your assets are all together from the start. And to move a file out of your downloads folder, you just need to tap and hold on it and you'll see the move option come up, and then just simply navigate to the folder that you want to use for your project. That brings me to tip number 2, use files side by side as well as stacks to organize your assets early. So once you've gathered all your images, open files side by side with Procreate. Just by dragging up from the bottom of the iPad screen, you'll see the files icon. You can just tap and hold that and then move it to the side, and you'll get both apps side by side. This just lets you drag and drop the images straight onto your gallery, which is much faster than importing them one by one, and especially if you're working with quite a few assets, it can save you a lot of time. As I bring things in as well, I like to organize them in stacks. So stacks in Procreate are sort of like folders. They just keep all the files for a particular project together, and all you need to do to create a stack is just to drag one file on top of another. It will stack them, go into that stack, and then you can drag your assets straight in there. So that's a nice way to keep things organized and together so you can just see those assets for the project. So this is a good moment to mention where this whole idea actually came from. When I was first exploring ideas for this collage, I came across a class on Skillshare and it completely sparked the direction of this piece. It was a Photoshop class by a designer named Marcus Morales, which focuses on building botanical creatures. Even though it wasn't technically a Procreate class, the idea behind it translated really beautifully to Procreate. And that's one of the things I really like about Skillshare. You're not just scrolling for inspiration, you're working through a project alongside a teacher with a really clear outcome, and you can take those ideas and repurpose them across different tools really easily. And in this class, there was even some supplied assets that I ended up using in the final piece, which were really helpful as well. And it just so happens that Skillshare is sponsoring today's video, which worked out perfectly. If you're not familiar with Skillshare, it's an online learning platform with thousands of creative classes, illustration, design, Procreate, photography, productivity, anything you can think of. If you'd like to check it out, the first 500 people to click on the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen will get 1 month free trial. So you can explore as many classes as you like. All right, so that's how we got here. Let's keep going. So I'm going to open my main butterfly image in Procreate now, because this is really the backbone of the whole piece. And the next step is to cut around the butterfly so I can remove the background. Definitely recommend using masking for all the cutting of your imagery. So masking lets you work non-destructively, which means nothing is ever really permanently deleted. If you were to go too far and accidentally hide something you didn't mean to, you can just switch to white and paint it back in using the mask. So I use masks for every component of this piece, and I'll show you a little extra step later that helps keep everything really clean and high resolution. So to add a mask to a layer, you just tap the layer and choose mask. It starts out white, so everything's revealed because white reveals and black conceals. So now anything you paint in black, you have to have the layer mask selected, but anything you paint in black will be hidden. And a quick tip here to make sure you're working with true black or white, if you go to your color circle to open the color tabs and then make sure you're on disk, double click near the bottom of the wheel around the black area and it will snap to 100% black. You can do the same for the white, you just double tap near the top. I like to save both of these colors in my swatches so they're really easy to access because you'll be using them a lot through the project. So I'm going to start by cutting around the butterfly now using my mask to get a really nice clean image. I'll speed up this part, but you can just see how I'm approaching it. So tip number 3, keep an eye on your layer limit and combine layers early. This one's really important with Procreate particularly because every canvas has a layer limit and high resolution images will eat into that very quickly. So you can check your available layers by going to the actions menu, and if you choose the canvas tab and then canvas information, it shows you under the layers panel how many layers you had available and how many you have left. So when I first opened this butterfly image, it was 6,000 by 6,000 pixels, which meant I didn't have a lot of layers available right from the beginning. So I started by resizing the canvas because really 3,000 by 3,000 was going to be plenty for me. So if you want to do that too, you can go into crop and resize under the canvas menu. You just simply tap on settings. You want to make sure that resample canvas is toggled on. If you adjust the dimensions, it will then repeat in that second box. So I reduced mine to 3,000 by 3,000 and that instantly opened up a whole lot more layers. If you still hit the layer limit though, don't panic, just flatten parts of the image that are finished, or you can merge similar elements where it makes sense. So on to tip number 4, start with the largest shapes first. Now this is where I went wrong the first time I made this piece. I spent hours cutting out tiny decorative elements and trying to fit them into the wings, only to realize later that the overall wing structure itself wasn't really working. So you always want to start with those largest shapes first, and in this case that's the wings. And once those are in place and working, everything else becomes a lot easier. So the detail should really support the structure, not the other way around. And now that that main form is working, I can start experimenting with decorative elements. And another quick tip here, you don't need to cut everything out perfectly straight away. Just use the selection tool on the freehand setting and you can draw quite roughly around the shape you want to select, and then you 3-finger swipe down the screen to copy, bring it into your image, 3-finger swipe on the screen to paste. And then you can just see where it fits. And if it doesn't fit, you throw it out and you haven't wasted any time. But if you find it does have a good position in your piece and you want to use it, you can now apply the layer mask and cut it out properly. So tip number 5 is to use warp to subtly reshape elements. So definitely for these wings, I use the warp to gently reshape them so they fit the wing shape. And the key word here is subtle, because you can go too far with warp and it can distort too much. So this just helps the assets feel custom and really integrated rather than they were just pasted on. So just using small adjustments will go a long way. Tip number 6 is desaturate images using a black layer. So at this stage, everything can start to feel a little bit chaotic because all the images are coming from different places. So the colors are all not meshing very well. So what I like to do is add a solid black layer right on the top on a new layer. I just create a new layer and then fill it with black. And now I want to tap on the little N and I'm going to change the blend mode here to saturation. So I'm not committing to black and white, but what this does is just removes the color as a distraction, so I can just focus on the shape and balance and the composition. And once everything works together structurally, I can reintroduce color later in a more intentional way. Tip number 7 is to work on one side and flip for symmetry. So this was a great tip from that Skillshare class from Marcus. He recommended doing one side of the butterfly and then just flipping it, and that makes perfect sense. So instead of working on both sides at once, we're going to design one wing and then merge it together and just flip it and rotate it so that it fits nicely on the other side. So you can always break symmetry later, but this will just save a huge amount of time early on. Tip number 8, keep versions as you go. So I definitely had to go back a couple of times to previous versions. This just allows you to make sure that you're not losing anything. So as your design progresses, you can just go back to your stack here, swipe to the left on the file and you'll see duplicate. Just duplicate your file along the way, and that just allows you to save stages, so you have the freedom to experiment without fear. So if something doesn't work, you don't need to rely on your undo steps. You can always just go back to that previous file. So future you will be very grateful that you did that, I'm sure. So tip number 9, select layers quickly using gestures. So speed really does matter, and not just for efficiency, but for staying in your creative flow. So when you're working on something like this and the ideas are coming in quickly, the last thing you want to do is to break that momentum by hunting through thousands of layers, because as your file grows, these layers are really going to pile up. Procreate has a built-in gesture for the layer select. All you need to do is tap and hold on the canvas with one finger, and that should bring up a menu of the layers that are just near your finger there. And then you just hold and slide to the one you want and it selects it. That is how I have my gesture set up. Yours might be different. So if yours didn't work like that, you can go into the actions menu, tap on prefs, and then we come down here to gesture controls, and you'll see under layer selection, that's where you can check what gesture is currently set to, and you can change it here if you want as well. So tip number 10 is an important one. You want to protect your image quality as you transform. Every little transform and rotation that you do is going to take away some quality of that layer. The way I like to do this is keep a clean original version with the mask still intact in a separate group. So once I'm happy that that element looks finished and I know I'm going to use it, I duplicate it and then I apply the mask to that duplicated copy. So I've got one copy with the mask still intact and one with the mask applied because I'm finished with it. And that's the version that I'm going to use and transform. So it keeps the layer stack much tidier. I don't have all these masks everywhere. And if I ever need to redo that element, maybe it's gone too pixelated from transformations or I've repositioned it, I just grab the original mask version and then I duplicate that again and place it nice and and cleanly into position. That way your image quality stays crisp and your layers stay organized, and you're never painting yourself into a corner. You've always got that as an option. So once everything's working with the butterfly, I ended up keeping that layer on the top for my color, but filling it with pink and then changing the blend mode to color. So that colorized all the elements and made it really cohesive. And then I just bought some elements above it so that I could keep them blue. I kept a backup of the layered version of the file and duplicated it and flattened it so that I could flip the wing over the other side and make my butterfly. I then added the jewel as the body so that it had a nice blue element, and then I just brought it into position and placed the other elements. So I had a couple of background elements that I got from Marcus's original class, this kind of textured paper, and I used this hand and beautiful sunset picture and then added floral elements to just finish it all off. And because I'm a lettering artist, I can't go past a piece without a bit of calligraphy. So in this case, I just used the name of one of the flowers showing, which is Delphinium. I just put that in the background softly to give it a really elegant feel. So I hope you enjoyed this process. Don't forget you can download that free PDF with image links to all the resources used, and it also contains the QR code for Skillshare. So if you'd like to explore more creative techniques like this, Skillshare has a huge library of classes, and don't forget those first 500 people get a free 1-month trial. So I hope this video helped open the door to trying some digital collage. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.